Furthermore, in the present lifetime, the moral man will receive people's homage. His mind will be joyful and without worry. He will never lack clothing and food. After death he will be reborn among the gods and will then attain Buddhahood. There is nothing that the moral man will not obtain. As for the immoral man, he loses everything. The vase of miracles. Thus, there was a man who constantly made offerings to a god. This man was poor. Having made offerings wholeheartedly for 12 years, he asked for wealth and power. The deva took compassion on him and, taking a visible form, came to ask him, "What do you want?" The man answered, "I want wealth and power. I would like to get everything my mind desires." The deva gave him a vase called the vase of miracles, saying, "The things that you need will come from this vase." Then the man was able to obtain, as he fancied, everything he wished for. When his desires were realized, he made a fine house, elephants, horses, and chariots appear. The 7 jewels were given to him in abundance. He entertained guests without lacking anything. His guests asked him, "Formerly you were poor. How does it happen that today you have such riches?" He answered, "I have a heavenly vase. This vase can produce all sorts of things, and that is how I am rich now." His guests continued, "Bring us this vase and show us how it produces things." He brought the vase and made it produce all kinds of things. In a fit of pride, this man danced on the upper part of the vase. The vase broke and everything it had produced disappeared in an instant. It is the same for the moral man. He has at his disposal marvelous pleasures, and there is no wish that he does not realize. But if he violates the precepts, his pride puffs up, he becomes licentious and is like the man who broke his vase and lost all his treasures. Moreover, the perfume of glory of the moral man, here and in the hereafter, extends everywhere in the heavens and among men. Moreover, the moral man is pleased with generosity and is unsparing of his riches. Even though he does not follow after ordinary interests, he lacks nothing. He is reborn among the gods. In the presence of the Buddhas of the 10 directions, he enters the path of the threefold vehicle and attains liberation. Many wrong views disappear after taking the precepts. Furthermore, without going forth from the world, the person who observes the rules of discipline will also be reborn among the gods. The person whose discipline is pure and who practices meditative stabilization and wisdom seeks to free himself from the misfortunes of old age, sickness, and death. He will necessarily realize this wish. Even though the moral man has no weapons, wicked people do not attack him. Morality is a treasure that cannot be lost. It is a parent who does not abandon you even after death. It is an adornment that surpasses the 7 jewels. This is why morality must be guarded as if one were defending the life of the body or as if one were watching over a precious object. The immoral man endures 10,000 sufferings. He is like the poor man who broke his vase and lost his wealth. This is why pure discipline must be observed. 4. Disadvantages of immorality. Moreover, seeing the punishments suffered by the immoral man, the moral man must try to observe discipline carefully. What are the punishments of the immoral person? The immoral person is not respected by people. His house is like a cemetery into which people do not go. He loses all his virtues like a rotten tree that people despise. He is like a frozen lotus that gives people no pleasure to see. Filled with evil thoughts, he is dreadful like a demon. People do not turn to him, no more than a thirsty man goes to a poisoned well. His mind is always disturbed like a guilty man who always fears the approach of punishment. He is like a field covered with hailstones over which nobody can venture. He is like bad grain, having the outer appearance of good seed but which is inedible. He is like a den of thieves where it is not good to stop. He is like a great sickness which no one dares to approach. He does not succeed in avoiding suffering. He is like a bad path difficult to travel on. He is dangerous to visit like an evil thief whom it is difficult to befriend. He is like a big ditch that people who walk avoid. He is bad company like a poisonous snake. He is impossible to approach like a great fire. He is like a wrecked ship on which it is impossible to set sail. He is like vomit that cannot be swallowed back. In an assembly of good men, the immoral man is like a bad horse in the midst of good horses, like a donkey in a herd of cows. In an assembly of vigorous men, he is like a weak child among robust men. Even though he has the external appearance of a bhiksu, one would say he is a corpse in the midst of sleepers. He is like a false pearl among real pearls, like a castor-bean tree in a sandalwood forest. Even though outwardly he looks like an honest man, inwardly he is without good qualities. Even though he is called bhiksu because he has a shaved head, the yellow robe and presents his ticket in the proper order, in reality he is not a bhiksu. If the immoral man takes the monastic robes, these are like burning brass for him, like an iron ring around his body. His alms bowl is like a jar filled with melted copper. When he takes his food, it is as if he were swallowing balls of burning iron or drinking boiling brass. The people paying homage to him with their offerings are like the guardians of hell watching over him. When he enters the monastery, it is as though he were entering the great hell. When he sits on the monastic benches, it is as if he were taking his place on a bed of burning iron. Finally, the immoral person is always fearful. Like a sick man who constantly fears the approach of death, or a person guilty of the 5 sins leading to immediate damnation and who always says he is the enemy of the Buddha. He hides himself and lies like a brigand fearful of being taken. Years, months, and days pass. He never finds any safety. Although the immoral man may get honors and benefits, his happiness is impure. It is as though madmen had dressed and adorned a corpse, and wise people, who know it, do not want to look at it. These are the many innumerable punishments of immorality, all of them could not be enumerated. The ascetic will therefore carefully observe the precepts. End chapter 21.